Stories that have hit us this week. The first one, let's start off with South African Airways and its drug bust. Now, you would have thought after the scandal that erupted in January when the crew was arrested at Heathrow that they would have made sure it never happened again. Well, it did. It happened again this week. Does it surprise you?
Alec, it's not surprising because I think that one of the key issues that a person looks at in something like this is corporate culture. How does the company function? And if you bear everything in mind that has happened with SAA, the chief executive being on suspension for 10 irregularities, that sort of culture flows down. But primarily it's a social engineering problem. And social engineering is defined as the criminal manipulation of people to perform an act or acts. So obviously what has happened is somebody has got to the people at SAA. And they've got to the people of SAA probably because of the culture in the company. Now, what was significant is one of the crew members, before the flight, phoned her sister and said to her sister, "I don't want to go on this flight because something is going to happen." Now, the question that comes up is, first of all, why did she phone her sister and not somebody at SAA and say, "Look, I know that something is going to happen at SAA"? Because what happens is, in every one of these things, there's three elements in every crime. There's the motive, the opportunity, and the justification. Now, all these security issues that they're talking about address the opportunity, closing the opportunity, getting sniffer dogs, getting sophisticated equipment, but it does not address the people element. People can be reached, they can be coerced, they can be bribed. Now, is there a mechanism in place at SAA when something like that happens? Is the culture such that a person feels unable to approach somebody in a position of authority?
Or do they trust the people?
Do they trust the people? Because culture, you cannot talk about culture. Culture is seen by the people on the ground. It's not, you cannot tell somebody, "I have this or that culture." They see what culture you've got.
David, then there's a lot of work to be done at SAA. We move across to the political environment and the whole Carl Niehaus saga. One has to think, how did he get away with it for so long?
Well, I think there's two issues with the Carl Niehaus saga, Alec. I have a great deal of sympathy for him. The first thing people must remember, that this is a man that went to jail in the 80s for 7.5 years for his stand against apartheid. Now, when he went to jail, he was a very, very young man. And in jail, bad things happen to people. You get brutalized, you cannot express your feelings, you build up a shell, you adopt a certain code of behavior, if you like, from the people that you meet and associate with while you're in jail.
Wasn't he a political prisoner?
But that makes it even worse, because if you're in jail for something that you know you did, "I'm guilty of a crime," you can deal with it. You can rationalize it to yourself. You can say, "Yes, I'm here because I'm guilty." I would imagine if you're there because you're not guilty, it would make it more difficult. Now, what happens when you come out? Perhaps he's overcompensating, and you end up then, when you're in that position, you take the first step over the line. Once you've taken the first step over the line, you lost. So what happens then is you take the next step over the line to compensate for the first one that you've taken. And as you get away with it for an extended period of time, you become the star in your own movie. You write the script, you direct it, you produce it. And if you are a credible person who's got a personality, who's charismatic, who can speak well, you can convince a lot of the people for a lot of the time. The question is, why were some basic checks not done at some stage? And why, when somebody realized this man has been damaged by his experiences, he is on the downward slope, why on earth didn't somebody intervene?